All right, in this video, we're going to look at what to do with negative exponents. Negative exponents can be rewritten using positive exponents using the negative exponent rule. X to the negative a means 1 over x to the positive a. So a negative exponent merely represents a reciprocal. We're going to look at some examples using this rule. I'm going to do the odd numbered problems for you, and I'm going to leave the even numbered problems for you to go back and practice on your own. So what I would encourage you to do is work the even numbered problems, look at the key that I have provided for these notes, and self-assess your understanding of the negative exponent rule. Number 1 says x to the negative 5. That is going to be equal to 1 over x to the positive 5. Again, I'm going to leave number 2 for you to try. Number 3 says negative 7, a to the 4th, a to the negative 4th, b to the negative 3. The only part of this expression that has a negative exponent is the a value. So that is the only part that gets reciprocated. So you can think about this as negative 7 times 1 over a to the 4th power times a to the 3rd power. We can put this all in one fraction by putting the negative 7 and the b to the 3rd in the numerator and the a to the 4th in the denominator, like that. So basically, everything that has a negative exponent moves to the denominator, but when you move it, you make the exponent positive. All right, let's take a look at the directions for the next examples. It says simplify each expression. Make sure final answers contain only positive exponents. Hint, use the rules, then move the variables at the end. That's a great hint. I'm going to leave number 4 for you. For number 5, first, I'm going to apply the rules that I know about multiplying monomials. I know that the 4 and 5, the coefficients are going to be multiplied normally. 4 times 5 is 20. I also know that when I multiply monomials, I add exponents on my variables. So for C, I'm adding 8 plus negative 5, and 8 plus negative 5 is 3. For my D's, negative 3 plus negative 1 is negative 4. So the D has a negative exponent, which means it's going to move to the denominator of my fraction. In the numerator, I leave 20c to the 3rd. I move d to the 4th to the bottom, and that is my final answer. Again, I'm leaving the even-numbered problems for your practice. For number 7, I don't have any coefficients in the front. Well, actually, I do. They're 1. But 1 times 1 is still 1 and not required to be shown as the coefficient. So I'm on to adding my exponents. I know I'm multiplying because there is no symbol between these two parentheses. That means multiply. And when I multiply, I add exponents. For A, I'm going to add negative 5 plus 7, which is 2. For B, 8 plus negative 3 is 5. And for C, negative 12 plus 7 is negative 5. If you struggle with adding positive and negative integers, just pull up a calculator to help you with the simple addition. The only variable, the only part of this that has a negative exponent is C, so it moves to the denominator of a fraction. I'm going to leave a to the 2nd, b to the 5th in the numerator, and to the bottom we go, But remember, when you move it, you make it a positive. Notice in the directions, it says make sure final answers contain only positive exponents. So we make that happen by moving the negative exponents and making them positive. Let's continue with example 9. So we have 5y to the second power, all to the power of negative 3. Remember, this means that 5 goes to the negative 3 power and y squared goes to the negative 3 power. Everything in the parentheses is affected. So I have 5 to the negative 3, and then I multiply my exponents. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Well, both of these have a negative exponent, the 5 and the y. So nothing stays in the numerator. Well, actually, 1 stays in the numerator. And we move 5 to the third power and y to the sixth power to the denominator and make the exponents positive. Now, 5 to the third power means 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125. So I might just write this 1 over 125 y to the sixth power. In number 11, everything in the parentheses goes to the power of negative 2. 6 to the negative 2, x to the fifth to the negative 2, and y to the negative fourth to the negative 2. So 6 to the negative 2, I'll just write as 6 to the negative 2. For x, I multiply a power to a power. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. And for y, negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. So one of my items has a positive exponent and the others are negative. So the y to the 8th stays in the numerator. And in the bottom, I have 6 to the negative, I got to make it 6 to the positive 2 when I move it, and x to the positive 10. Now, 6 to the positive 2 power simply means 6 times 6, or 36. So I could probably write this a little nicer as y to the 8th over 36 x to the power of 10. For number 11, I'm going to first apply the quotient rule, which says when you divide, subtract your exponents. So for C, I'm going to do negative 2 minus 7 on my exponents. And for D, it will be negative 1 minus a negative 2. I'm going to write that out just to be very careful. For C, negative 2 minus 7 is negative 9. Again, consult a calculator if you're not sure of your addition of integer skills. For D, I have negative 1 minus a negative 2, which means negative 1 plus a positive 2, and negative 1 plus 2 is just 1. C has a negative exponent, so it goes to the denominator and becomes c to the positive 9. And remember, I don't have to put the 1 as an exponent on D. It's understood. Number 15 is also the division rule, but I also have coefficients this time, negative 10 divided by 2. Well, negative 10 divided by 2 is just negative 5. Now I will perform the quotient rule and subtract my exponents. For m, it's going to be 2 minus 3 for that exponent. And for n, remember there's an invisible 1 here. It's going to be 1 minus negative 5. So I've got my coefficient, negative 5, m to the 2 minus 3, or negative 1, and n is 1 minus a negative 5, or 1 plus 5, which is 6. The only part of this with the negative exponent is the m. So that's the only part that moves. So leave negative 5 into the 6th in the numerator and move your m to the negative 1 in the denominator, and it becomes m to the positive 1. And again, I don't have to put the positive 1 exponent. Let's try just a few more on the back side. Let's look at number 17. We have another quotient rule. So with the 15 over 18, I'm going to divide that as I normally would. 15 divided by 18 cannot be divided evenly, but 15 and 18 can both be divided by 3, and I will get 5/6. Again, perform the quotient rule. For A, that will be 2 minus 2. For B, 5 minus 3. And for C, 8 minus 9. So that's 5/6. A to the 0 power, and anything to the 0 power is just 1. B to the 5 minus 3 is 2, and C to the 8 minus 9 is negative 1. Now this is interesting. I could write this several ways. Now remember, A is just 1, so anything times 1 is just itself. So basically there are no A's. Just leave them out. And then I have B to the 2nd, and I can move C to the denominator. But it looks much better if I just combine these two and say 5B to the 2nd over 6C. I don't need to put the exponent of 1 with the C. For number 19, again, I will look at my fraction, normally negative 9 over 54, and both of those can be divided by 9, negative 1 over 6. R, is that a negative 5? Nope, just a 5. So 2 minus 5 for the R. S is 6 minus 2. And T is 4 minus 8. So I've got negative 1/6, R to the negative 3, S to the 4, T to the negative 4. Now, in the numerator, I've got a 1, an S to the 4th. In the denominator, I have a 6, R to the 3rd, and a T to the 4th. The negative sign can just go out to the side or up in the numerator. I don't really need to write the 1, so I'm just going to put, whoops, I'm messing this up. The only thing that goes in the numerator is 1 times S to the 4th. Down here I have a 6, R to the 3rd, T to the 4th. So again, the negative sign can go here, just ignore this splotch. Or the negative sign can go in the numerator with the S to the 4th, or technically it could go down here too. The negative sign can go anywhere as long as there's only 1. And we will stop that lesson here. Please work some of the even numbered problems to check your understanding. Take a look at the key that I've provided for your notes. And when you're ready, go ahead and start on your Schoology assignment. Thank you, guys.